Google is everywhere. Google Search, Gmail, Google Maps, and even YouTube are some of the most common options people turn to when they use the internet. But many people say they can't trust Google with their data for various reasons, and this got me thinking, can you actually ditch Google services? And what alternatives exist to these common Google products? Google has many different services they offer, including Google Search, Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Maps, Google Chrome, Android, and YouTube. This is convenient because you have one account for all these products, but it also means that Google is tracking you across all of their popular services. They're looking at your photos, your emails, your documents, and your location, everything they need to curate a personal experience for you. This is what concerns many people and leads them to the question of, can I ditch Google? When you dig into it, you'll start to see that completely getting rid of Google products and services is difficult. Gmail is seen as the golden standard for personal email, and many workplaces give their employees a Google Workspace account for their corporate email and documents. Not to mention, over 70% of the smartphones in the world run Android, a Google operating system. Personally, I'm not going to cover Android alternatives since there's really only one viable option, and I think we all know what that is. But there are a lot of ways you can de-Google your life, starting with Google Search and Google Chrome. When you use Chrome, you open yourself up to sharing all of your browsing data with Google. Two alternatives I would recommend are Brave and DuckDuckGo. Brave is a desktop browser and mobile app based on Chromium, so it can run all your Chrome plugins, and it has a built-in ad blocker and tracker blocker to protect your privacy. Brave also has Brave Search, a good alternative to Google Search if you'd like to get away from that as well. Now, to put my tinfoil hat on for a moment, the fact that Chromium is built by Google could mean that they are potentially spying on user data in browsers like Brave, but that's just a theory. Many people turn to DuckDuckGo as a Google search alternative, and I think this is a great option. DuckDuckGo also has a desktop app, which is essentially just a web browser, but it doesn't support extensions, so I wouldn't recommend it. Personally, I'd stick with Brave and just set DuckDuckGo as your default search engine of choice. If you want to get away from Chromium entirely, you'll have to consider Safari for Mac or Firefox for Mac and Windows. Now, what about the elephant in the room? Yes, I'm talking about Google's email and productivity apps. They are definitely the hardest to get out of your life, but it's very possible to give them the axe. Proton is one of the most popular alternatives for email, cloud storage, and calendar. Proton Mail is an end-to-end encrypted email service between users, and it's free to use. You only get 1 GB of storage for free, but you can upgrade and get 15 GB of Proton drive storage for $4 a month. You can even get as much as 500 GB or 3 TB of storage with a family plan. The paid versions of Proton Mail even allow you to get your own custom email with your domain name. While Proton services are a popular choice, I do have some concerns about Proton Mail's data privacy. A few years ago, there was a scandal where Proton Mail was caught logging a user's IP address and turning it over to Swiss authorities. This is after their privacy policy stated that they didn't log user IP addresses. Proton says they were just complying with legal authorities and that all privacy protections are suspended if the law requires it. So maybe don't use Proton Mail to do things you shouldn't, but that's not the point of this video anyway. A newer alternative to Gmail is Skiff. Skiff is a productivity suite with encrypted email, documents, cloud storage, and calendars. The free version of Skiff gives you 10 GB of storage that you can use across all the apps, plus you can even connect your domain name and get a custom email. This might be one of the only ways to get a truly free custom email, so it's cool to see Skiff offering this. I'm also pretty impressed with Skiff Pages. It's a Google Docs meets Notion type editor where you can collaborate in real time with users, including anonymous users that don't have an account, but it uses a sort of inline document UI where you can embed tables and code and different elements. Pages also has the ability to use decentralized IPFS storage, meaning that your documents are stored on a user-created network, and instead of one document file being stored on one person's computer, it's split up into a bunch of fragments and put on a bunch of people's computers, so that way there's no one person or server that has access to an entire document file. Skiff looks pretty neat, and with the free plan they offer, I think it's the best alternative to Gmail, Docs, and Google Drive that you can get. I would imagine that Skiff will eventually scale back their free plan to encourage more people to upgrade to premium. Because after all, if you're not paying for a service with your money, you're paying for it with your data. And Skift can only sustain this for so long. I have a feeling they're taking a loss right now just to acquire customers. In fact, I think you should feel good about paying for an alternative service that Google would offer for free. This way you have confidence that the company is surviving from your money and not your data. But one thing you should never pay for is hitting that subscribe button. It only takes a second, it's totally free, and it will help make sure you don't miss when I release new videos. Another core Google product you'll want to get away from is Google Maps. I don't know about you, but I don't want to willingly hand over my location data to Google. If you're an iPhone user, an obvious alternative is Apple Maps. But if you're an Android user or just don't trust Apple with your data, I found some surprisingly usable alternatives. Cygic is a Maps app powered by OpenStreetMap, an open source alternative to Google Maps. Cygic functions much like any Maps app. You can search for locations, tap locations on the map, and navigate to them. Unfortunately, you are going to miss out on a lot of the discovery features you'll find in Google Maps. There's no pictures for any locations, and there's no user reviews, so it's kind of hard to evaluate if a place is worth going to. There are basic discovery tools for finding restaurants, gas stations, and shopping, and the guided navigation is pretty impressive. You can get turn-by-turn navigation, see speed limits, and even add a gas stop along your route. You can also report accidents and traffic, but I'm not sure how accurate the real-time traffic data is because I would imagine Cygic has a lot less users than a platform like Google Maps. Cygic is a premium version for $20 a year that gives you access to all features like live traffic information and access to CarPlay and Android Auto. Similar to Cygic, HereWeGo is a Google Maps alternative powered by Here Technologies. Here has several owners including Mercedes, BMW, and Intel. The Here map is a bit easier to navigate than the OpenStreetMap data on Cygic, but the OpenStreetMap data is more detailed. Here also doesn't show photos of locations, but they do pull in review data from TripAdvisor. It's not quite as useful as Yelp or Google Maps reviews, but at least it's something. You can also access multiple navigation methods including car, public transit, walking, and biking. HereWeGo is 100% free to use and has no ads. This is because Here relies on licensing their map data to car manufacturers for their infotainment system to stay in business. I think they offer HereWeGo to smartphone users to help their brand image and also collect real-time traffic data, which is going to improve the navigation experience in the cars that license the technology. Car manufacturers are footing the bill for Here, and this is how they're able to offer a free app without tracking your location or targeting ads to you. And that's really the main goal here, to stop Google from tracking you. But just realize that even if you go to every extreme to stop using Google products, they're still tracking you. Google Analytics is active on over 37 million websites, and this is one of the subtle ways that Google collects data on users even without them ever going to a single Google website. At the end of the day, you'll never fully stop Google or any big corporation from tracking you online, but ditching the Google products is a great way to majorly limit the data they can collect on you. Using a VPN is another way to stop your internet service provider from seeing every website you visit. And if you want to know the best VPN for each use case, I've got a video breaking that down that you can check out here.